My girlfriend and I have been together for 6 years, but she has yet to propose to me, and she now says she won't propose unless we live together for at least a year, even though she knew from the start that I didn't want to move in with anyone before marriage or engagement. And I feel wronged.
6 years.
On July 20th, my girlfriend 24F and I 23M will be celebrating our dating anniversary. I love her so much. She's my best friend in the entire world, and we've really grown together since we started dating at 18. As excited as I am to celebrate 6 years with her, I can't help but also dread it because it's another year of her not proposing. We've had a lot of people ask, "Oh my God, almost 6 years. Why aren't you guys engaged yet?" And also some people say, "You guys are so young, just enjoy your lives." Honestly, within the relationship, we are both split. She went from asking me to marry her every day when we were 18 to saying we need to be more stable once we both enter the corporate workforce. We've discussed marriage, kids, and all of that, and have agreed those are things we both want. Of course, I understand her, and it is the responsible thing to do to have our finances and such be more stable. However, it seems she's starting to prioritize other things over marriage. She has expressed her aspiration to move into the city, then another day wanting a new car, and then the next wanting to travel together. All these new aspirations and wants are starting to hurt my head because it seems like she doesn't know what she wants. We've had so many discussions about our future and what we want to create together and what we wish for ourselves, but she always seems so sure about what she wants for herself and not for us. Her older brother got engaged last year, and of course we were both so happy and excited for him. However, I later found myself getting angry and upset, not towards him, but my girlfriend. She seemed so excited for him and his fiancée and their future, and started talking about our future as if it was a distant future. When people would tease us saying, "Oh, you guys are next," she would just chuckle and stay quiet or say, "Oh, we've got a long way." What was worse was that she would ask me for my opinion about her brother's wedding, almost rubbing it in my face, asking me if I would have a destination wedding planned the same way as him, etc. Meanwhile, she's saying these contradicting things. In addition to this, I brought up to her recently that I would like to be engaged soon, and she said she would not propose unless we lived together for at least a year. I expressed to her that I personally would not want to live together unless we are engaged, but she said that this is her one non-negotiable. I asked if she was willing to compromise, for example, us being engaged and starting to look for a place after, but she said no, just simply no. I asked if there was any other way or if she had any ideas of how we could compromise, and she just shrugged. I am in no rush to be married or engaged, but I wanted to ask her thoughts to further understand where she is at and where she thinks we are progressing. What is concerning to me, however, is that I asked her, "Okay, so if I don't live with you for another 3 years, then you won't propose," and she said yes again, no compromise, further insinuating that she would make me wait until she gets her way. This made me really angry. Now I'm at this stage of denial, but also acceptance, realizing that she won't do it unless I give her what she wants, and I truly don't know what to do. I couldn't even continue the conversation with her because how could I after she just shut me down? She seems to be so excited for our friends and family around us getting engaged and having kids, but doesn't seem to be excited for us to do those things. I want to get engaged and married because I love her and want to start our future together, not because I'm trying to relate to people around me. However, I find that she always compares our relationship to other people's. For example, my sister and her girlfriend traveled all over Europe. Why can't we? Or my friend and his boyfriend just got a place together. We should do that. She's expressing what she wants passively, and when I actually try to talk to her about it, she seems closed off. I grew up in a fairly traditional household, and while I don't carry all of the values my parents raised me with, one of the few is waiting to be engaged or married before moving in together. She's known this for some time, even before we started actively having these conversations. Recently, she started doing this thing that's actually made me crazy. She will hold my hand and start measuring my ring finger, as if cutely trying to gauge my ring size. Honestly, it feels like a punch in the gut. Like who does that after saying they don't plan to propose anytime soon? At this point, I truly don't know what to do anymore. I feel lost and almost nervous for our 6-year celebration coming up. I don't know how to change her mind, because the last thing I want to do is beg her to propose. I feel stuck. Top/relevant comments. Commenter: why would you think it makes sense to get married at 23? 6 years, and no ring is not appropriate to start freaking out about when the 6 years began when you were a teenager. Chill out and live your life. I'm not speaking about whether or not you marry this girl. I'm talking about generally. Marriage is not the high water mark for relationships, and a wedding is not an adult bar mitzvah. OP's response: well, I'm not asking to get married at 23. I'm simply asking for reassurance and commitment with engagement. I think it's probably stemming from the feeling of being taken for granted at times. Commenter 2: I mean, y'all are in your early 20s and haven't lived together. Why would you want to get married to someone you've never lived with? 6 years together, and you don't live together? There's a lot more you need to accomplish. Do y'all still live at home with your parents? Where are y'all career-wise? You say you save, but she likes to spend. Honestly, if y'all aren't sharing bills, you can't tell her what to do with her money. Based on how you describe her, she isn't interested in settling down. She wants to have fun and enjoy the here and now. Y'all are young, vacations, car, thinking about relocating, figuring herself out. She also seems to be young-minded when it comes to some basic adulting. You want serious marriage, babies, etc. Y'all are not in the same place. You need to understand that part and find partners that align with what you want. Y'all were babies when you started to date. People change, especially in that age range from 18 to 25. I agree with her stance on not proposing or marrying someone you haven't lived with. That is a different test of a relationship that shows how aligned and compatible a couple really is. You want to know that beforehand. And being that this is your first and only girlfriend since becoming an adult, you've never experienced living with a partner. You will be surprised how the cutesy things they do can end up driving you bananas. OP's response: I come from a fairly traditional upbringing, and while I myself am not traditional, one of the values I've carried with me from my family is wanting to be engaged before living with my partner. We've both been working corporate jobs for 2 years and are making good wages and money in comparison to most people in our age range. My hesitance in not wanting to live together also comes from a place of wanting to see her mature more. She still lives at home with her mom, and I can see how she still depends on her for certain things and lets her baby her at her big age of 24. She still does her laundry, for crying out loud. Commenter 3: 23 is a great age to find a better girlfriend. OP adds an edit to the post. I'm seeing a lot of comments about our ages, and again, like I said above, I understand we are young and have been together since I was 17 and she was 18. I understand and hear that advice. However, I am not asking for marriage and babies next year. I'm simply asking for further commitment and engagement. Personally, I think if you've been with someone for 6 years, you should know by now. Also, a lot of you are saying I'm not willing to compromise. I've been hearing her out for years. The issue is I have compromised so much for her, and she has yet to do that for me. For 2 years at the beginning of our relationship, she had no job. I paid for almost everything. I've also, for the last few years, planned our dates, our trips, etc. I literally remind her when she has a doctor's appointment. Fast forward to now being more financially stable. We've planned trips and have traveled together, but when I ask her for some time to save, she keeps insisting she wants to go somewhere and money can always be made later. When I try to understand her and see her perspective regarding living together, I expect that she do the same for me, but she doesn't. I always put in effort. And might I add, for the last 2 years, she hasn't bothered to do something special or plan something nice for my birthday, despite having all this money to get a new car and go on all these trips. She's changed a lot from the start of our relationship, especially when it comes to effort. She's a good girl. We've had so many great memories together, but I feel sometimes that I just mourn what we used to have. She's masking being responsible with what is convenient for her. It's about her and not about what I want, because if it was about what I want, she would understand my desire to save money for the future, to communicate more, etc. Marriage is not about having the big wedding or party. I told her she could literally propose with a ring pop, and I would say yes. She's a great girl, but she's also disappointed me so much, and I don't think I can handle more disappointment. Update, 2 months later. Hi everyone, gosh, it's truly been some time. I honestly kind of forgot I had posted this because a lot has happened in the last month or so. If you haven't guessed already, I broke up with her. I let our anniversary pass, tried to move on from my anger and frustrations. And while our anniversary was great, I realized she simply just did not and could not understand me, and I simply couldn't let it go. About a week after our anniversary, we were downtown working, and on a whim she asked if we could grab dinner after work. I said yes, and what was supposed to be a casual dinner and go home type of day turned into a dinner and exploring all the neighborhoods she wanted to live in downtown. I felt like I was ambushed into viewing neighborhoods and places I didn't even want to live in, places we never discussed openly. It made me feel almost sick, as it felt like she was just rubbing salt into my wound, passively dangling the key to my future ring. If you remember from my previous post about how she used to size my ring finger, yeah, it made me sick to my stomach just like that. At the end of the night, before heading home, I asked if we could talk in her car when she was dropping me off. I brought up how I was still not happy about the relationship feeling one-sided, and that while I put in all the effort, she put in the bare minimum and still forced or whined about what she wanted in the relationship and never considered what I wanted. She actually got frustrated and said, "It makes no sense. Living together is more of a commitment because we are obligated to stay together due to paperwork. You can break off an engagement if you wanted to. We've had this conversation 4 or 5 times, and you still don't understand me." She then went on about how it would be an opportunity to test things out. This statement was very much a slap to the face, because I realized then that the same girl who used to vocalize wanting to get married every day did not truly think or understand the importance of marriage and unity like I thought she did. And what hurt most was that after 6 years of being together, and me for the last 2 years really vocalizing excitement and a future with her, she never once actually listened to me when I talked about how important and exciting engagement and marriage are to me. I then brought up how her words were hurtful, saying it's a good way to test it out and see how things go. I asked her, "What exactly are you testing out after 6 years? Test and see if you still like me and want to be together? For you to even say you'd have to test things out with us and not know what you want to do now. That's your answer. You're not committed to this, not committed to me." So I followed it up with, "If you aren't sure you want to marry me now, you won't be sure tomorrow, next month, next year, or in the next 5 years. And I cannot simply wait for you to wake up and see me as worthy of a ring." And so I got up out of the car and told her it was over. It's been more than a month now, and I think I did the right thing. Of course, a part of me still misses and grieves her, but that last interaction told me exactly what I needed to hear. Yes, she's trying to keep in touch and wants to talk things out, but at this point in time, I can't even look at her. To anyone out there having these same feelings or maybe going through the same issue, do what you think is best for not only you but your future self, your future kids, etc. Thank you to everyone who offered their sweet and supportive words. Good luck to you all. Top/relevant comments. A commenter. Test things out. LMFAO. I don't know how you didn't burst out laughing in her face. After 6 years together, you absolutely did the right thing. Commenter 2. Good for you. You dodged a bullet. The fact that she was looking at neighborhoods without initially discussing anything with you is insane. Commenter 3. This grandma is proud of you. My one piece of advice is to block her everywhere. She's not trying to stay in touch for you. She's doing it for her own selfish reasons. She was willing to hurt you over and over and over again. She just wants another opportunity to convince you that your feelings and dreams for your future don't matter. Only her dreams and wishes do. She enjoyed tormenting you by pretending to measure your ring finger, knowing all the while she had no intention of proposing. That's infuriating. The faster you cut her entirely out of your life, the faster you'll heal and be able to move forward.